anticholinergic and antihistaminics. And anticholinergic, there is trihexyphenidyl, that is also known as benzaxole, procyclidine, and piperidine, whereas antihistaminic group of drug contains orphanadrine and promethazine. Now coming to levodopa, so levodopa, it is also known as L-dopa, and it is a immediate precursor of dopamine, and it is inactive by itself. So we usually give a immediate precursor. Dopamine is inactive by itself, so we usually use the dopamine precursor, that is L-dopa, and 95% of the oral dose, which is decarboxylated in the peripheral tissue, and mainly it is decarboxylated into the gastrointestinal tract and liver, and it is converted into dopamine. And out of those drugs, only about 2% of the administered levodopa, it crosses the blood brain barrier. That's why we always give levodopa in combination with carbidopa or benserazide, which is a peripheral decarboxylase inhibitor. Now coming to mechanism, you already know. So here dopamine, usually it is usually it is decarboxylated into the peripheral tissue. So when it is combined, when levodopa is combined with carbidopa, then most of it will go into the brain, and it will be helpful in the treatment of Parkinsonism disease. So it will relieve the symptoms of Parkinsonism when it is combined with carbidopa, which is a peripheral decarboxylase inhibitor. So when it is decarboxylated into peripheral tissue, it may cause various adverse effects like tachycardia, palpitation, postural hypotension. So to also to prevent from these adverse effects, we combine it with peripheral decarboxylase inhibitor, that is carbidopa or benserazide. So levodopa, it is usually combined with carbidopa, because carbidopa, it inhibits the peripheral decarboxylation of levodopa. So more of the levodopa will go into the brain. So advantages of combination of these two drugs are, so less dose of levodopa is required, and there will be more effect of levodopa in the brain, and it will also increase the half-life of levodopa when it is combined with carbidopa, and there will be less peripheral side effects like tachycardia, palpitation, hypostensial hypotension, etc. And when levodopa is given along with carbidopa, there is less chance of drug interaction with vitamin B6, that is pyridoxine interaction doesn't occur when it is given with carbidopa. So we can also use vitamin B6 along with it. Now coming to pharmacokinetics of levodopa. So levodopa, it is absorbed orally by active transportation, and it is absorption is usually decreased by the presence of food, especially amino acids. That's why whenever patient is given levodopa, we have to advise the patient to administer it on empty stomach, or at least 30 to 60 minutes before food, because food, it decreases the absorption of levodopa, and it can cross blood-brain barrier, so it may cause CNS disturbance, and plasma T half is 1 to 2 hours. And levodopa undergoes high phosphorus metabolism in gastrointestinal mucosa as well as liver, and it is excreted in the urine. Now, what are the various pharmacological actions that is seen when we use levodopa? So levodopa can affect the central nervous system. So it will cause marked symptomatic improvement when it is given for the treatment of Parkinsonism, and the effect can reach its site of action. So as I've already told, if levodopa is given along with carbidopa, then it can reach its site of action. So as I have already told, if levodopa is given alone, it is decarboxylated in the periphery, and only 2% of the drug will enter to the brain. So when it is given in combination with carbidopa, it will prevent the peripheral decarboxylation of levodopa, and more of the dopamine can enter into the brain and it can produce its effect in case of Parkinson's disease. So currently it is given in two combination, levodopa and carbidopa in the ratio of either 4:1 ratio, or it is given in a 10:1 ratio, and it can also be given along with benserazide in the ratio of 4:1. And the advantages of combination are, so when it is given in combination, it will increase the bioavailability of dopamine in the brain. So we can reduce the dose of the levodopa by 75% because of increase in bioavailability of dopamine. And another is plasma T half of levodopa is prolonged when it is combined, and its dose is also reduced to 1/4, and there will be reduction in systemic concentration of dopamine. So there will be decreased incidence of gastrointestinal side effect like vomiting, nausea, etc., and there may be decrease in cardiovascular complications as well. And on and off effect is also reduced because cerebral dopamine level are more sustained when it is given in combination, and there will be degree of improvement is high when it is given in combination with carbidopa, and there will be better patient compliance as well. So another group is dopamine receptor agonists. So dopamine receptor agonists, these are an alternative drug which is given as it, which is used as an alternative to levodopa, and these will act on the dopamine receptor even in an advanced patient. Okay, and they do not require any enzymatic conversion to become active metabolite. So coming to dopamine receptor agonist, number one is bromocriptine. So bromocriptine, it is a ergot derivative of drug. Okay, it is an ergot derivative, and it does not require an enzymatic conversion to form the active metabolite. It has a longer duration of action as compared to that of levodopa, and it can control the motor complication of the Parkinsonian patient. And the mechanism of action is, the name itself says, it is a dopamine receptor agonist. So it has a partial dopamine 1 receptor agonist action, but it has a strong dopamine 2 receptor action. So it is a strong dopamine D2 agonistic drug, and it can be used for the treatment of Parkinsonism, and it can be used either alone or it can also be used along with levodopa, and it will improve the wearing of phenomena, and it will also improve the control over on and off phenomena as well. And this bromocriptine can also be used besides Parkinsonism diseases. This bromocriptine can also be used in suppression of lactation. It will decrease the level of prolactin, so it can also be used for the suppression of lactation in the lactating female, and it can also be used for the treatment of acromegaly and ACTH dependent tumor as well. So in acromegaly, what happens? How does it act in acromegaly? Since bromocriptine, it is a potent dopamine 2 receptor agonist, so it will suppress the release of growth hormone secretion in the patient with acromegaly or in patient with ACTH dependent tumor. Okay. Now coming to adverse effect, so bromocriptine can cause hallucination, confusion, and vomiting, and it is contraindicated in patient with peptic ulcer diseases, in patient with myocardial infarction, or patient with mental illness. Now another dopamine receptor agonist is a pergolide. So pergolide, it is also a ergot derivative group of drug, and it is also having agonistic action on both dopamine 1 and dopamine 2 receptor, and it is given orally. It is rapidly absorbed orally, and it is metabolized in liver and excreted in the urine, and it can be used for the treatment of idiopathic Parkinsonian diseases. And as an adverse effect, it can cause dyspepsia, constipation, and hallucination. Another dopamine receptor agonist is a ropinirole. So ropinirole, it is a selective dopamine 2 and dopamine 3 receptor agonist which has negligible affinity for dopamine 1 receptor and non-dopaminergic receptor. So it has more action on dopamine 2 and dopamine 3 receptor, and it is rapidly absorbed, and it has a maximum plasma concentration which is reached in 1 to 2 hours after it is administered orally, and it has bioavailability of 50% because of first pass metabolism, and it is metabolized in liver, and less than 10% of ropinirole are excreted unchanged in urine, and it is used for the treatment of idiopathic type of Parkinsonian disease for elderly, and also can be used for the advanced case of Parkinsonian diseases. And as an adverse effect, it causes hallucination, dyspepsia, and constipation. And another group is another drug in dopamine receptor agonist is pramipexole. So pramipexole, it is a non-ergoderivative dopamine agonist, and it binds to both presynaptic and postsynaptic dopamine D2 and dopamine D3 receptor, and it will stimulate the pre and postsynaptic, mainly dopamine D2 receptor, and it can be used as a monotherapy in early Parkinsonism disease. It can be used alone, or it can also be used along with levodopa in patient with advanced case of Parkinsonism. And in early Parkinsonism disease, it may cause adverse effects like nausea, dizziness, hallucination, and constipation. While in patient with advanced Parkinsonism disease, it may cause orthostatic hypotension. That means patient will have decrease in blood pressure while moving. And drug interaction is cimetidine, ranitidine, diltiazem, verapamil, quinidine. These are the drug which decreases the oral clearance of pramipexole by 20%. So this drug has to be avoided in patient who are taking this drug. Now coming to MAO-B inhibitors. So basically there are two different types of isoenzyme of MAOs. They are MAO-A and MAO-B, monoamine oxidase A and monoamine oxidase B. Okay, so MAO-B is responsible for most of the oxidative metabolism of dopamine in the brain. You may be asked during MCQs also about this. So MAO-B is the isoenzyme which is responsible for oxidative metabolism of dopamine. Now coming to MAO inhibitor, these are selegiline. So selegiline, it is a selective irreversible inhibitor of MAO-B in the brain, and it is advantage of taking selegiline is it will prolong the T half of the endogenously produced dopamine. It will increase the anti-Parkinsonism effect of dopamine, and it will also decreases on and off effect, as well as it will also decrease wearing off phenomena. Now coming to mechanism of action of selegiline, so it will, when it is taken, it will retard the breakdown of dopamine in the brain, and it will prevent the formation of toxic metabolite, and it may also cause blockade of presynaptic dopamine receptor. It will also inhibit the dopamine reuptake from the synapse, and when it is given along with levodopa, it will prolong and it will also enhance the action of levodopa, and it will decreases the motor fluctuation in the patient, as well as it will decrease the wearing off effect in the patient with Parkinsonism disease also, and it is metabolized in the liver into the amphetamine and methamphetamine. So it is metabolized into two drugs, that is amphetamine and methamphetamine, and as an adverse effect it may cause insomnia, it may cause postural hypotension, nausea, confusion, etc., and it is absolutely contraindicated in the patient with convulsions or convulsive disorders. So another MAO-B group of drug is rasagiline, and it is a newer drug. It is a newer selective MAO-B inhibitor, and it is 5 times more potent as compared to that of salicylic. It is more longer acting drug, and it is not metabolized into amphetamine as in case of salicylic, and it does not produce any excitatory side effect, or it does not produce insomnia as that of salicylic, and it is a preferred drug over salicylic. Now coming to another drug is COMT inhibitor, which is a catechol O methyl transferase inhibitor. So it contains two drugs. One is entacapone and another is tolcapone. So these two drugs, they are more potent and reversible COMT inhibitor. So when it is given, they will enhance and prolong the therapeutic effect of levodopa and carbidopa in advanced patients with motor fluctuation. Usually, COMT inhibitor are given along with levodopa and carbidopa. So when these drugs are given in combination with levodopa and carbidopa, it will increase the effect of levodopa, and it will also prolong the therapeutic effect of levodopa as well as carbidopa. Okay, so it is used to smoothen the wearing off effect, and it will, when it is given, it will increase the on time in the patient and it will decrease the off time in the patient. So basically it will improve the wearing off effect, it will improve the on and off effect in patient with Parkinsonism disease, and also will have to improve the daily activities of the patient. And tolcapone, it has a peripheral action as well as central action, whereas entacapone has only peripheral action. So coming to mechanism of action, so, as I have already told, this drug is given along with levodopa and carbidopa. So, when levodopa and carbidopa is, when peripheral decarboxylation of levodopa, it is blocked by carbidopa, it is metabolized by COMT to 3-O-methyl dopa. So, while metabolizing, while conversion of this drug, when it is metabolized by COMT to 3-O-methyl dopa, so this pathway will be blocked by this drug entacapone and tolcapone, and when this pathway is blocked by these two drugs, it will have to prolong the T half of levodopa, and large amount of drug will be entering into the blood brain barrier. So by inhibiting the enzyme catechol O methyl transferase, they will produce peripheral degradation of levodopa, and they will allow more of drug to enter into the brain. Okay, so this drug will help by inhibiting the catechol O methyl transferase enzyme, and it will have to prevent the peripheral degradation of levodopa, and it will allow the more of the, or it will allow higher concentration of the drug to enter the brain. So as an adverse effect, it may cause nausea and vomiting, it may cause postural hypotension, hallucination, diarrhea, and when these drugs are taken, it will produce yellow-orange discoloration of the urine. Now coming to another drug, that is dopamine facilitator, which is amantadine. So amantadine, basically it is a antiviral drug. Okay, it was introduced as an antiviral drug, and it is most effective in case of inflammation of influenza A virus, but it can also be used for the treatment of Parkinsonism disease. So it will facilitate the release of dopamine from dopaminergic neuron, and it is used for the treatment of mild Parkinsonism disease, and it can also be used as a supplement to levodopa in advanced cases of Parkinsonism disease, and it will have to suppress the motor fluctuation as well as have to suppress the abnormal movement in the patient, and it may cause insomnia, dizziness, confusion, dry mouth, nightmares, etc. as a adverse effect. Now coming to central anticholinergic drug, that is benzaxole or benztropine. So these are the drugs which are effective against drug-induced Parkinsonism, or trihexyphenidyl is also included in this group. So these group of drugs are basically used for the treatment of drug-induced Parkinsonism. So what are the drugs that cause Parkinsonism? Are they those are the antipsychotic drug which may cause Parkinsonism. And in antipsychotic drug, haloperidol is the most common drug which may produce Parkinsonism disease. So to treat the drug-induced Parkinsonism, we can use central anticholinergic group of drug. An antimuscarinic agent will improve the tremor and rigidity in the patient, but these drugs have less effect in case of treating bradycardia. And advantages of this drug is its main action is centrally, so there will be minimal peripheral action, and these drugs are cheaper and it is better tolerated than the levodopa. And as an adverse effect, it may cause all the anticholinergic side effects like dry mouth, blurred vision, constipation, urinary retention, etc., especially in case of elderly patient. Now coming to antihistaminic like orphanadrine and promethazine. So antihistaminic drugs also has a anticholinergic property, so they will decrease the activity of cholinergic neuron and they will help in the treatment of Parkinsonism disease. Okay, so that's all for anti-Parkinsonism drugs. So here you have to know the classification of anti-Parkinsonism drug. You have to know the everything about levodopa and the advantages of combination of levodopa and carbidopa. These are the most important things you have to know in case of Parkinsonism disease. Okay, so let's take your roll number.